Hi, Kristen Martin here, occupational therapist and mom, and I'm coming here with another 5 ways to play video. And today we are talking about. Yes, Grant's already giving you a little preview. As many of you know, I am also a feeding therapist.
There's a camera.
Yes, and I am also a feeding therapist. And so today we're going to talk about 5 ways to play with food. And when I say play with food, your first thought might be kind of that old school mentality of, wait a minute, we don't play with our food. But one of my philosophies in feeding in general and in the way that kids learn is that kids learn through play. And so what better way to learn to love food than through play? So when we think of all the steps to eating, a lot of times we just think, oh, you pick up your food, you take a bite, you chew it up, and you swallow it. But there are actually many more steps to eating. I'm not going to bore you with all 32 steps to eating. But really, we want kids to play with food in all different ways and to interact with it in different ways too. So touching the food and then eventually bringing it closer and closer to their mouth, which is what we as parents want our children to do, which is just eat it already. But today's 5 ways to play are going to talk about all different ways that we can interact with food. Luckily, many of us have more time to eat as a family, which is one of the good things that has come out of all of us staying at home during this pandemic. But I really want to encourage you to eat with your child and to have everyone that's sitting at your table for at least one meal a day eating the same things, everybody having a little bit of everything on their plate. And to have one food during meal times that is a preferred food for your child. That's going to help them to come to the table and to be okay sitting at the table and playing with different types of other foods that might not be so preferred. One other thing that I want to mention before I get started with the 5 ways to play is that I never want you to force your child to interact with food in a way that they are not comfortable interacting. So rather, I would like you to try to imitate these things. To try and model these things for your child so that they can imitate what you're doing. If you have older kids in the house, they are great at modeling things and getting younger kids, like my son over here, to also interact with the food the way that you want them to. So with no further ado, let's talk about 5 of my favorite ways to play with food. These are all tried and true. I use these in the Food Explorers groups that I run at the preschool that I work at. I use them in my own home. So here we go. The first way to play with food is to turn food into something else. So you can do this by just maybe having a contest with all the kids at your table to see who can make the coolest creation with the foods that you're having for lunch. So if we have carrots, perhaps the carrot could be a tree trunk, and then the other foods become the tree leaves or something like that. There's so many examples of this on Pinterest, but I think it's a lot more fun for kids to come up with their own ideas for creating artwork with their food, with no pressure to eat, but just to create their own special artwork with the food. The second way that we can play with food, and I like to use this trick with food that is more of a pureed consistency. I'm going to show you it with applesauce, but you can use this with yogurt or different dips, ketchup, ranch dressing, even foods like mashed potatoes, any kinds of mashed vegetables, is you can just take, I just have a sandwich-sized Ziploc bag, and you're gonna pour or scoop that food into the bag. Seal it up. It's very important. And then kind of smush it around in there. And this helps your child be able to explore the food. Hold on, buddy. We're getting to that in a minute. To explore the food without having to touch it, without getting it on their fingers. So they can just kind of smush it, right? You can poke it, poke, poke, poke. You can draw letters in it, anything like that. And then what I like to do is just take a pair of scissors and snip just a tiny bit off the one corner of the bag. And then you can use it to pipe out a shape or a letter on your child's plate. Anything that they might be interested in. It's kind of like you would do if you were frosting a cake. So, Grant, what letter should I put on your plate?
G.
A G? A G for Grant? So then you can just make a little letter on that. A lot of times kids are more attentive to that, more tolerant of it, especially if it's something that they've chosen to have you put on their plate. It gives them a little bit of ownership. And then they can just use that as a dip for other foods that they might like. They might just want to poke it with their finger or just look at it. Even for some kids, that is a really big step. All right, we're going to save some of this. I'm going to need this to model a couple other things. All right. So our third way that we can play with food is to turn them into different facial features or body parts. So one thing that you can do is you can turn foods like carrots or really anything into silly noses.
Silly nose.
Do I look like a snowman? Yeah. Oh. You look like a snowman. We can turn it into a unicorn horn. Good job. Or maybe a mustache.
Mustache?
Turn it this way. Yup. You like my silly mustache? It's a cold mustache. And you can also use it to dip into your pureed foods. Here, dip, dip, dip. And you can turn it into lipstick. Put on your lipstick. Or fingernail polish. Yeah, on your nails or tattoos. So you can do that with dips or even without dips. You can just use it as all different things. The fourth way that you can play with foods, one of my favorite ways, is to turn things into horns or using food in songs. So we can blow a horn. Doo, 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 doo.
Doo, doo, doo.
Doo, doo, doo. You can have them do it with no hands. Doo, 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 doo. You can use it as... Oh, you painted your nails again. You can use it as a drumstick, a microphone, or you can use it in different songs. Grant is fully exploring this applesauce. You can use it in different songs. When you wake up in the morning and it's 6:45, you brush your teeth. Show us how you brush your teeth. You brush your teeth. Oh, you brush your tongue. What else can we brush? You brush your lips. Do, 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 do. You brush your nose. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. You can brush your nose. Ready? Beep, beep.
Beep, beep.
Yeah. So you can use foods and turn them into all sorts of fun songs by just replacing a song that your child likes with the food. So the Itsy Bitsy Carrot or something like that. And then the fifth and final fun way to play with food is to play the wake up game. So this is one of my son's favorite games. I'm going to go to sleep.
Okay.
And then he is going to wake me up by crunching on that orange stick that you have in your hand, that carrot. Ready? I'm going to sleep. Wake me up. was a big crunch. So that is a super fun game to play. The kids love that in our feeding groups at the preschool. That is one of my son's favorite games, and you can play that with a variety of foods. If your child isn't quite ready to bite on the food, you can have them snap it to wake you up. These carrots aren't snapping very easily. Yep, you can snap it, or maybe they can tap to wake you up. But as you can see, they are interacting with the food anyway that they are waking you up. It's tricky, isn't it? So those are just 5 ways to play with food. I have many more ideas than that, so you may see a follow-up video of some ways to play with food, because it is one of my favorite topics. And with that being said, we are going to wrap up this video for now, but please let me know if you have any other questions.
Snap.
And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.